All right, welcome back to More Social. I guess we'll start off with a channel update here. So I want to say thanks to my followers. I've got 3 subscribers, so I'm guessing that I should get a plaque for my 4th subscriber from YouTube. Pretty excited about that. Apparently, my mom has still not subscribed, so maybe that'll send me over the edge. I guess a little bit of feedback that I received from a couple of my subscribers, my wife and my kids, is that the last video was a little too long. So I guess either you need to have a longer attention span or I need to be a little more concise. One last thing is channel sponsor. So I reached out to Ryan Reynolds, connected with him on social media. Oddly, he didn't reply to me, so if anyone knows how to reach him, go ahead and leave his contact information in the comments. So from our last episode, really started to kind of lean towards the idea of self-improvement, needing to be more than just improving. So what I want to start to do today is talk about how what we really want to do is shift our focus to becoming our best. So the first way to do that, the first thing that we need to do is we've got to focus on the things that we're interested in. Too many things that are out there to distract us and keep us from really honing in on the things that are really important and matter to each of us as an individual. So I'm not going to say that there's not room for, call it video games, streaming, media, etc. At all. But what I am going to say is this: the more that we can tune those out, the more that we can turn those off, the more that we can focus in on this area of interest that we really want to spend our time and energy on. So there's a variety of things, and I think some of them surprise people a little bit. I know for me, it was kind of a huge surprise to figure out that music is actually a one of those mediums that kind of prevents me from actually moving forward. So a lot of people will talk about using music to start to kind of hone in and gain focus, but music kind of produces a bit of a false high for me. So you kind of get amped up. You go for a workout or start trying to dive into your work deeply, and and then maybe you achieve something or get to a certain point, and then for me it kind of just satisfies the urge that I have to accomplish something. And so rather than having the continued motivation or the sustainable desire to work on bigger projects, I was sort of short-circuiting that. Of course, the obvious culprits of this are TV, streaming, video games. But I kind of want to touch on the TV and streaming side of things. Something that I personally find, I don't know what word to put on it, but I personally find it to be, sort of really disturbing in a sense, is exactly how much time and energy people spend living vicariously through, dramas, whether it's the real life TV shows, I'm not even going to name them. I'm not even going to go through the names of them, but, these are things that we end up getting caught up in, and we're distracted, and then we lose sight of the things we should be pursuing in our own life to find a way to do something that's noteworthy and valuable on a greater level. A lot of these also really kind of speak to escapism. Like, we're trying to kind of avoid doing the work that we really need to do to pursue greater value in things that we're interested in. Another item is talking about what we're going to do. I'm torn on that one. I think that there's a certain degree of sharing with people who can kind of help us stay the course, but I certainly think that when we're kind of like in this mode of oh, this is what I want to accomplish, this is what I want to do, and then we spend too much time talking to other people about it. I think that is another area where we kind of short circuit our efforts. And the last one is a little bit like the the TV and streaming, where we binge and watch and follow these dramas and try to join ourselves to the efforts of people in fiction. But the other one is sports, and sports drives me crazy. Sports are a very valuable thing. Finding people that we have camaraderie with and being able to, pursue things together with other people. That's a great thing. But when it comes to like professional sports and even college sports to a large degree as fans, like if you can't compartmentalize that and keep it as a point of something that you do for entertainment, really stop fooling yourself. I'm sorry. It's just not, you're not contributing to their winning. They're glad to have you as a fan because the bigger organization makes money off of you, but you're not contributing. And so this is one of those areas where, I really encourage people to start separating themselves. Professional sports have become a huge time suck. They get you sucked in with fantasy leagues and you name it. It's ridiculous. Every day of the week you got to spend on it. So the other thing that I would say to be careful of is looking at other business people who have success. I think there's a point at which we want to, kind of hear stories that we can sympathize with, or I guess engage with. And that's okay. There's another area of interest that I want to cover at another point, that has to do with admiration versus idolatry. So let's just kind of focus on that surface level piece of things for a minute there. And yes, it's good to have people that you admire so that you can emulate the good things that they do. But it's very easy to fall into idolatry, where you start to look at them and say, wow, they're so gifted and I can't do that. And this becomes a real factor in limiting beliefs. So it's important to understand as we kind of proceed through finding the short circuits, that our first attempt at success is not necessarily going to end in our desired result. So you're going to pursue a number of activities, a number of different opportunities and things that you want to accomplish, and failing or not completing those is learning opportunity. This kind of goes back to something I spoke of in the first video, where we tend to sort of see the need to like learn everything ahead of time and be so successful at it that we don't fail. We get the perfect grade from the teacher in the classroom. That's not how any of this is going to work. You're going to have to spend the time, putting yourself out there, getting uncomfortable with all of the hard work that you put in and getting no results, and having people criticize you. All of those things are really a pretty big factor, and they're an important part of learning. So the point is that the majority of people with big goals, they fail many times on the road to their success, and they see failure as an opportunity to learn. And it's not something that's predestined. So, a saying that I've come across a number of times as a practitioner of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is, you either win or you learn. So, when you get submitted by somebody, you learn from it, you take a step back, you ask where you went wrong in a certain sequence or scenario. So the same thing is true for finding any pursuit in life. We've just become so averse to having to learn and having to go through those growth phases that I think people just don't, they don't understand that there's so much room and opportunity out there if we're willing to engage in something that's not just an immediate gratification. So the other thing that I want to point out here is feeling good about your effort is not really an indication of being on the right path. We're going to need the feedback loop. We're going to have to figure out how to use the feedback loop properly. This is an area of things that I'm not quite clear on myself yet. There are going to be people who criticize you, things that come back. Unfortunately, there's a lot of variables, a lot of facets to getting to where we want to be, and we're going to be learning. In all reality, I think that people are criticized for being a jack of all trades and an expert of none. But I think the reality is that we've failed to see the value in being a jack of all trades, and yes, I think certainly we need to limit that in scope to a certain extent, but being a jack of all trades is something that generally is necessary for for really accomplishing big things. Anybody who has who's in these big roles where they've created massive companies and organizations, they're not really the technician, they're not really the manager, they're the person who's able to see the big picture. They're a jack of all trades, really. Let's see here. Also, be careful of action faking. So while we need to organize our thoughts and be able to find direction in what we want to accomplish, don't get caught up in like, oh, how do I have the perfect note-taking system, the perfect app for this, that, or the other thing. Find something that works, start to use it. As you need to reorganize things, do so. Reorganize things, get more organized, little by little, step by step. Again, it's incremental. I really can't stress enough how important increments are, and the idea of iteration, and especially from a software development view. Whenever there are major projects that I've worked on, iterating on those projects has produced way more fruit than trying to come up with the ultimate end perfect right idea, and then finding out that you just spent a whole bunch of time trying to perfect this software application or whatever, only to figure out that it's got a lot of bugs and a lot of other issues that go on with it. So the same is true for your process of really becoming your best. It's incremental. Getting settled on your goals, those are things that have other implications, and we'll get into that at another point. But for the time being, try to be a little bit flexible on some of those areas. So the recipe for success. Now, as somebody who has some success, I think I have some good thoughts here. Now, I would also say that this is an opportunity. This point that I want to talk about next is really maybe a little bit more of an encouragement to read and learn from people who have much bigger success. Again, find people you admire, figure out how to emulate the good things they've done, and put that into practice. But in short, so work on making your desired goal the thing you pursue with the most fervor. Again, tune out the distractions and prepare to prepare to be in a little bit of state of discomfort, boredom. Find a way to remove those distractions. One of my favorite things that I ever heard was, if you want to learn something new, say it's a musical instrument like the guitar, um, replace your TV with a guitar. Put the guitar in place of the television, and that way the television is harder for you to engage with, and the guitar is easier. Um, it's not a force of the will. Um, you can build up the desire and the will to work on something, but this is where the habits and the discipline become the tool. So again, replace the TV with your tools that you need, or the material you need to work on the thing that you're interested in. If it's a musical instrument, put the musical instrument there. Change your environment. Do things that put that in in a place of being more accessible. Um, Work on deepening your desire by embracing boredom. If you constantly try to feel good about what's going on in your life, or trying not to, if you're trying to, like, for lack of a better term, you're trying to kind of numb that frustration or that sense of feeling like you haven't achieved what you want to. um, don't be satisfied with pursuing some other endeavor, whether it's the TV distractions, the sports, the video games, all that stuff. Be prepared to set those things aside. Find good books to read. Really place yourself in the midst of that learning capacity, and in that thirst for knowledge, if you will. Um, be positive about how you see what you're doing. You know, don't take the limiting beliefs approach, but also be prepared for setbacks and obstacles. The obstacles and the setbacks are the things that are going to help you learn and grow as you're pursuing something new in life. So, I guess the kind of closing on this thing is, um, are you looking to feel good, or are you looking to accomplish your goals? You kind of have to ask yourself that question, right? So, do you desire to feel good more than you desire to achieve your goal? And that's a recipe for short circuit, right? So you've put in a hard day's work, or you've been working all week really hard, and maybe you haven't, maybe you don't feel like you've gone as far as you want to, or any number of things are possible there. Don't be inclined to settle for a cheap imitation. Um, the video games, or the TV, or the sports teams. In all reality, there's a place for decompressing, for taking time to sort of remove yourself from the hard work, because it can be daunting and overwhelming. But it's better to do something at that point that gives you a little different perspective, rather than trying to sort of feel or fulfill that satisfaction. And to kind of drive that point home a little bit more, don't forget that the greatest gains oftentimes come on those days when you feel the least like doing something. So, you may have just gotten started in your exercise routine. Maybe you're like 2 to 3 weeks in, and all of a sudden you kind of hit a point where you're like, yeah, I see some good gains. I feel pretty good about this situation, or the way things are going. I'm going to take a break. Or maybe you just simply don't feel like doing it. Like, I feel like this is not going to be a good day to work out, or whatever. Those are actually the days when you can feel, or you can experience the greatest gains. You can make the most improvement. So maintain that discipline, maintain that focus. So, I guess the last thing is really to find a way to really build that build the discipline, build the good habits, and eliminate the bad ones. So remember, we're replacing bad habits with good ones, not trying to just eliminate things just to eliminate them for the sake of it, because you won't find that to have you won't find the longevity that you're looking for there. So in just kind of in closing here, this is really a part of my own sort of discovering of things that I'm interested in trying to find a way to elevate my own my own capabilities. So I'm kind of sharing that experience as we go along here, and then just want to kind of encourage people who are following me, anybody who's taken time to watch my videos, stay the course. There's better things out there than just surviving or just existing. Sometimes we have to go through rough patches, but the worst thing that we can do in those periods of dryness and those periods of difficulty is to short circuit our efforts on becoming our best. So thanks again for watching, and signing out. More social.